Shalom, Mishpucha, and welcome to Get Organized God's Way. Um, are you feeling overwhelmed by clutter? And not just in your home, but in your heart and in your spirit? Get Organized God's Way is here to guide you through a Christ-centered journey to declutter your life from the inside out. Hi, I'm Eileen Koff, and as a certified professional organizer, my ministry is to help you discover how to align your spaces within God's purpose, to bring peace to your home and closeness to your relationships, to others, and to God. And it isn't about the world's view of tidying up. No, it's about transforming your life. It's about deepening and fostering relationships and embracing the peace of God that He's always intended for you to have. So join me and let's create a sanctuary in your home that reflects God's grace. I've been saying many times here at the Messianic Lamb Network that there's so many verses in the Bible that talk about order. And oh my gosh, in one of the books that I so loved is the priestly prayer, the blessing, where he says, "May the Lord make his face to shine upon you." And that word shine in Hebrew is or, where we get the word order from. In other words, when God shines his face upon you, he brings order into that chaos in your brain, in your spirit, and all of a sudden, everything's going to be okay. It's just that peace that surpasses all understanding, where we get from the priestly prayer, the blessing, "May the Lord's face shine upon you." When I read that, I knew that the purpose that God had placed within me for my days here on earth was exactly that, to bring God's order, God's peace to the kingdom that he, whoever wants to join, whoever wants to that he puts into my path. That is my greatest joy, and that is why I am here. So join me now, and let's find how to incorporate God's grace through his order in every aspect of your life, not just within the walls of your home, but in your relationships, because the most important relationship is to love the Lord your God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. And so that's it. And we can't do that when we are experiencing the world's viewpoints and the enemy's encroachment upon how we live our life, and we're just not even aware of it. So that's my role, is to help you become aware of those patterns of habits and thinking that have kept you away from having that order, having that peace into your life, and the relationships with your family as well. So there's so many reasons that people are here. And it could be the clutter, you can't even walk into your door, or it's not clutter. Maybe it's the financial aspect of the bills and everything that have you on overwhelm. Or it could be time, seeking out, what all those different roles that you play, whether it's, a mother or father or friend or volunteer or whatever. Every role that you play takes time out of your life. And if you have so many roles in your life that you're not able to fulfill them, then they're going to suffer. So time management is also important in understanding how to declutter one's life, so that you can spend the quality of time with those in relationships. But there's just, clutter has no boundaries. It's worldwide. And there's professional organizers, everywhere in every country, almost all over the world. So just understand, number one, there's no judgment here. There never has been, there never will be. It's how the world has entrapped everyone to believe and to think a certain way. And that is not, that it goes against what God says in Scripture. So my position is to point out, what does God say, so that you can make your own determination as to how you want to go forward in building or continuing with the life that you presently have. So in these episodes, I provide you with how to do that. Not just what God says, but real life practical applications on how to do that. And we're going to get into that a lot today. It's one of I love being able to be very, very practical. It's like when I go to sermons and I'm sitting in church and they're talking of Scripture and they're fabulous sermons, but I leave going, well, now how do I incorporate that in my life? So my job here is to help you incorporate those skill sets that I talk about from what Scripture says and how to do this practically. So let's begin in prayer. Father God, I am humbled to be sitting here today, speaking into your kingdom to ready themselves for the purpose that you have set before them. The world and its ways wants to distract them from those purposes through materialism or through activities or through all kinds of means. So Father, I ask that that you would speak through me to be able to dispel those lies, and that as I am doing this, that you get all the glory for what you are doing. So help me to clear my mind, Lord, of all distractions. And I ask you, Father, to prepare those that are listening now and those that will be listening in the future to see how their clutter and disorganization will affect their eternal kingdom purposes. And I ask all of this in Yeshua's precious name. Amen. So thank you for joining me. So as you noticed, that this, if you were with me last week, then you'll know that I did not complete the episode on it's summer, and so the children are home, right? And that's when usually I would get a lot of calls going, I don't know how to do this, Eileen. It's their room is, there are no words. It's just so disorganized that, and they're old enough to know better, but I never taught them, or I was never taught. So I need some structure. I need some understanding as to how to go about dealing with the time that they are now home from school, and how can I better prepare them for their life going forward. So last week we talked a lot about the children in the home, and how to prepare them better as they get ready for the summer and then beyond for the next school year. So I started off with some scripture, what God has to say, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to resound and I guess voice what God says first. So I gave some New Testaments. If you didn't see it last week, and I don't think it's going to be on this particular network. This particular show will be on for this coming week. So I will, in the very near future, have last week's episode on this topic on eileenkoffministries.com, or you can go to my YouTube page and you can download that. I don't think it's up there right now, but it will be in a couple of weeks. So you will see these back to back. This is the second installment of what I wasn't able to accomplish last week. So let's start off with what God has to say. And I did most of them last week, taking them from the New Testament. I want to just give you 3 from the Old Testament today. This one is from Deuteronomy 6, chapter 6, verses 6 and 7. And it says, "These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up." So this passage emphasizes the importance of teaching children about God's commandments in everyday life. And in Proverbs 20, chapter 22, verses 6, it says, "Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it." I know you know this one. But this proverb highlights the long-term impact of early childhood education and moral instruction. So the earlier that we can get started with our kids, the more benefit that they are going to have going forward in their life. And the last one here is Proverbs 29, verse 17. It says, "Discipline your children, and they will give you peace. They will bring you the delights you desire." So I love this understanding where it says here the emphasis is on the benefits of disciplining children for their future well-being and the harmony of the household. And that's what I'm here for in this particular session, is to be able to, I'm not sure the word discipline is the correct word, but it's to empower, I think is a better word, to empower your children by these organized and lifestyle changes that are going to affect their future well-being. And it's something that I will tell you. I'm going to read you a little quote at the end from my son Evan, who, when he went to college, was able to express this to me. It's not like I got that on my day-to-day by any stretch, but it was such a joy to be able to hear his real life application when he went away to college. And I will read that to you later. So I want to just do a really very quick recap of some of the things I talked about last week so that it kind of makes sense about what I'm going to go into today. So I was saying that teaching children to organize their rooms is crucial for several reasons, which extend beyond just having a tidy space. And so I here just, I'm going to go through these really quickly because last week I went into these in great depth. But the first one is develops responsibility and independence. It gives them a sense of personal accountability and an incredible understanding of self-sufficiency. The second one was build organizing skills or organizational skills. Organizational skills isn't something that comes very easy to most people. And when you begin learning as a young child how to do these things, it carries over into so many areas of their life going forward. And so organizational skills isn't, like I just said, isn't just about the stuff. It's about, number one, the time management and learning to teach children how to develop better time management skills as well. And task prioritization. They teach them how to prioritize their tasks and to break their tasks down into smaller, manageable pieces. This is huge. And I'm going to repeat myself on this one, but most children today do not understand the word priority. They do not understand what's their important things to do that day versus the small things. And that's probably because we don't get it either. So learning the skill of prioritization is incredibly important in learning to teach these things to children. When an environment is so disorganized, there is no way just no way that they're going to understand priority. So that's like, if I could have a big sign behind me as my word for the day, that would be one of them. How to teach your children to prioritize. The next one is it enhances focus and concentration. Now, I went into this in great depth last week, but it's sort of like in a clutter-free space. Let's put it this way, okay? You're in the kitchen and there's stuff all over the place and you're having a hard time cooking. I mean, it's just like, things are in the way, you're pushing things back and forth and all those kinds of things. When your kitchen is clutter-free and you know exactly where things are, or most things are, it just reduces the frustration that you feel just getting dinner done. I know that. And so that's what happens with kids as well. When their spaces are free of the clutter and disorganization, then it really, really, helps them to focus in the tasks that they've got before them. Otherwise, it's really difficult. And at the same point, it's about mental clarity, right? I mean, it's the same thing. When you're in that kitchen, you can think better. You understand what you're doing a lot better than when things are piled up really, really high and you can't concentrate. The next one was it promotes a sense of achievement. You know that feeling, right? That feeling of accomplishment in completing the task that the organized room has for a child. It's like when they want to go out and they want to play with a certain game, or they want to have like a Lego thing or whatever. If they know exactly where it is and they can go right to it, it's a sense of, it's just such a better sense of accomplishment of knowing that they can get what they need to when they want to get to it. And it promotes positive reinforcement, regular praise and recognition for their efforts is what will just propel them to continue doing what they're doing. It's when I was raising my kids, every kid is different. Every kid's needs are different, and every kid's understanding is different. But if you can, let's see, if you can give them the structure and the understanding when they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and doing it well, or doing it in a way that is good for them, and giving them that positive reinforcement, that speaks so loud for the rest of their lives. They remember that, they understand that. And I can't, that's what order does. That's what, when he shines his face upon us and he brings order into our kids' lives. It's that time of, you did that well, that looks so good, I'm so proud of you. That just speaks so clearly to children. And so the last one here, well, not the last one, number 5, is that it teaches life skills. And I kind of piggybacks on the last one. It's not just something that they learn, and then they forget. No, it's something that they learn and remember for the rest of their life. And at the same time, one of my favorite ones is the 6th one, is it reduces stress and anxiety. Okay. Our environment, our world is so stress-filled right now. I don't see it getting any better. Do you? If you do, write a comment on it going, Eileen, it's only going to get better here. Okay. But I don't see it getting any better. I just see it getting more and more chaotic. And if you can teach your children or teach your family the rewards and the benefits that comes from a clutter-free and a peace-filled environment that is calm, then it's going to really change your relationships with them. It encourages discipline and consistency. It's a habit formation. It's not just something that gets done once in a while, but it's done on a day-to-day or week-by-week basis. And it's consistency, right? It's not something that, I don't know, it's the best word is consistency, I guess. It's like it's something that becomes part of who they are, and that propels them on paths that keep them so interested in doing things that maybe you didn't even understand that you could have done at that age. It's just, I've seen it happen so many times in the people's lives that God has put me into, that it's not about what the person who's taking these instructions are doing, but the children are witnessing what the parents are doing. And as they witness, remember, it's not what we say that counts. It's, what we do. It's our lifestyle that reflects our Christ love and who we are in Christ. And so when what we're doing is a reflection and they look at us for, well, how are we living our life? And when they see what we are doing, they begin doing it too. It's an incredible transformation. It's the best word I can say for it when it comes to families. And so it really enhances the family harmony in a home. It fosters creativity and productivity, right? It's like when a place is in order, that creative, I talked about it last week about how, if you have your area in order, your brain pathways are much more charged than when things are scattered all over the place. So go back and listen to this particular portion of the episodes on creativity and productivity, because it really is incredibly important what an organized space does for our brain pathways when it comes to promoting that creative sense within us. And I also talked about the last one on environmental awareness, that it's not just, getting rid of stuff. It's about how to take responsibility in getting rid of the stuff. And I remember when my oldest son was growing up, and we had a tiny, tiny kitchen. We lived in Bethesda, Maryland, and we had a very, very tiny kitchen. And he says, "Mom, I need to create a recycling center in our home." I'm sitting here going, where is this one going to be? We had like a little mud room off the side of the kitchen, which was a mud room. And he goes, "I'm going to turn the mud room into a recycling center." And this was, okay, so he's 42. So he was probably about 8 or 9. And that's when I began seeing how important it is that he goes, "No, we're not just throwing this out, Mom. We're going to be responsible in taking this, and recycling it, or if we have to go to the dump, we're going to go to the dump with all of the paints and things." And that was just that. He was the one that encouraged me initially. This was so many, many years ago. And so one of my most, I don't know, it's just my most fulfilled part of as a certified professional organizer was winning an award for eco-organizing, for being able to tell people that it's not okay to just throw things into the dump, but as they are getting organized, how to do this responsibly, how to do it as God would want you to do it, because everything on this earth is His. And when you get that through your head and you understand it through your spirit, that everything that He has given to you has come through Him. And how are you taking care of it? I'm going to talk a little, if we have time, I want to talk about that a little bit later with a question that I was given on treasures. So how are we taking care of what He's given us? And that's all part of, this concept of, training your child in the way that they should go, because then they will never depart from it. Okay, so now let's look at where I left off from last week. And you may want to get a notepad, again, like I said, and begin writing down a few of these really, really practical applications. The first one is set a routine, okay? Making make room clearing a part of their routine, okay? Being specific about each day or week for cleaning up builds good habits. In other words, it's not just like I said before. It's not just maybe we'll get to it on a weekend. This is a routine, and I'm going to explain how to do that in just a few minutes, on how to create that routine for your family, so that it becomes a habit, not just something that they have to drudgily, oh, we got to do this today. No, it's something that they know that they're going to do, and it just becomes part of, like, okay, Thursdays is trash day. Who's going to do that? So it's just going to build good habits. And while you're doing this, number 2 is offer the incentives. Okay, offer small rewards for keeping their room tidy, such as extra. I don't know if you want to go into. Well, you decide what is important. What makes them excited? Is it going, on an outing? Is it going, playing ball or going to the park or whatever? Also, declutter together. This helps them decide, how are they going to do what they're going to do. Let me look here for just 1 second. I just don't want to repeat myself too much from last week, so that I get all these things in that need to get in. And I do remember going through all of these things now. So again, like I said, go through this. I talked about preparation and planning, setting clear expectations, and creating a cleaning checklist. And I think that that's where I stopped. So let's start here, which is where I have start here, Eileen. Look at your notes. And it's called preparation and planning. So setting clear expectations, defined, organized. All right. So everybody needs to have an understanding of, what do you mean by organization? So give them a really concrete example of, what does that look like? In other words, are the clothes in the closet? What does that look like? What does it look like in the drawers? What does it look like in the toys in the bin and the books on the shelves? Those kinds of things. Create a cleaning checklist. Put things like, make the bed, put dirty clothes in the hamper, fold and put away the clean clothes, organize your toys and put them into the bins. Arrange the books on the shelves, throw away the trash, and clear your desk or your study area. So these are very, very helpful, specific tasks that you need to write down, so that they can understand what it is what you mean by, that, or an organized space. So number 2, which I didn't get to, is declutter and sort. Now, I went through this in my shaloming videos, and it was the H for shalom, which was the H, heave, and S, the sort, was for S, and shalom was sort, and D. So this is part of that process of shalom, which is this one for this particular episode is doing this together. So you're not going to have them in the initial time, how do I do this, Mom? You're going to go through their belongings together, and you're going to sort them into 3 categories. You're going to do it on keep. You're going to do it on a blessing or a donate. I always call it blessing bin instead of a donate bin, because you really are blessing other people's with that bin. And the trash, trash or recycle or whatever. So those are the 3 things that you're going to have with you as you get started. And so you're going to ask some questions like, do you use this? Does this fit? Do you love this? So those are the kinds of questions you're going to ask them as you're going through the declutter and the sorting, especially like in clothes. Like, if it's no longer fitting them, okay, can you bless somebody else with it? The next one is provide storage solutions. So before you get started, I want you to go shopping in your home. Like I've always said before, that so many times what we need, we already have. We don't need to go and buy. We just don't know where it is. So go through, your attic space or your basement space or whatever, and see if you do have bins or boxes or things that you can use instead of going out and getting more things. So your bins and baskets can be used for toys or crafts or miscellaneous items that they may have in their home. Look at shelving. A lot of times I go into people's homes and there is little on the walls. Little, I mean, especially in like home offices. Like there's stuff all over the floor, but very little space is used on the walls. So I always say, shelving is incredibly important. Those are great for things like trophies or books or displaying items. One of the and we're going to get into this in a few minutes about art. And one of the things that I always say is that art doesn't do anything inside a drawer or inside someplace else. We need to take it out and we need to display it. We need to honor, again, remember I talked about honor and respecting. And when you can bring their past work up and display it in their room, it speaks volumes to them about ownership and how proud you are of them. And so the next one is closet organizers. And these are great for clothes and for shoes. We could spend hours in my study, Get Organized God's Way. I have a whole chapter on clothes organization. It's called, let's see, what I forget what the chapter is called. But it's all about clothes. So if you have any insights and you want to read that, it'll give you more information on the clothes. And labels. Again, I'm a real big label maker here. And clearly label the storage bins and shelves so that they remember where they're supposed to see it. A lot of times our brain doesn't remember things, but it can easily see it if you put a label on it. And not only you can see it, but they can see it. Everyone can see it. So it helps them to remember where things go. The next one, in step 3, is cleaning and organization. Bottom line is make it fun. No one's going to do anything if it's not fun. So I always say, when you get started, I always, for my Christian people who call me, I said, put on praise music, in the background, because that'll keep you focused as to why you're doing what you're doing. But for your kids, play any kind of music that gets them excited. That keeps them motivated and happy. Music in the background is a real good stimulation for keeping one's thoughts there's so much science background about background noise and how it keeps one focused. So put some upbeat music on and set a timer. I always say, don't expect them to do this all day. 10 minutes or 30 minutes or, whatever it is that, depending upon their age group, that they can accomplish at that particular time. So set a timer. And when the timer is off, they're done. Now, if they're in the middle of something and they want to continue, go, okay, let's go get a drink. Let's go outside. Let's go, clear our brain a little bit, and then we'll come back and do it. We'll come back and finish it. But it's really, really important to get them with the understanding that this isn't an all-day thing, okay? And they're only going to do this little bit by little bit by little bit until it becomes a habit. And that's just incredibly foundational. So do it in bursts, like 15 minutes. And then I always love this for kids, is to turn it into a game. Okay, so it's sort of like, okay, here it is, 5 minutes. Put on your timer for 5 minutes. How many toys, like Legos or things that are scattered all around the room, how many toys can you guys put in this in 5 minutes, and put the timer on. And then at the end of the 5 minutes, you count and see how many things they got in. Or the other one could be like, how many red things can we find in the room? And can Can you put all those red things in here and we can find out where they belong? So make it a game, just like any other thing. We only do what we like doing, right? So make it a game for your kids as you're going about the organization of their room. Now, the next one is assigning tasks. This is really important. So assign tasks according to their age group. Younger kids can put toys in bins, while older kids can fold clothes and organize books. And I love the idea of a buddy system. Pair up the siblings to clean together and make it a team effort. Number 4 is maintenance and habits. Again, set a routine. Spend 5 to 10 minutes each day doing it before bedtime or after bedtime. And then the next one would be reinforcement and support. Lead by example. Show them, they're not the only ones that are doing this, that you're doing it with them and that you're doing it on your own in your own aspects. So here's an example of the schedule for the week. So for Monday, all right, you may want to write this down or come back and listen to this again. But for example, for Monday, make the bed and put dirty clothes in the hamper. And the fun element of this would be race against the timer for 5 minutes. All right, so you got 5 minutes. Let's make the bed and put the dirty clothes in the hamper. Done. Monday. Okay. Tuesday, fold and put away the clean clothes and listen to your favorite playlist while folding the clothes. Okay. So Wednesday would be organize toys into the bins. The fun element would be a toy sorting game, and who can sort the most toys in 10 minutes. And Thursday the task would be arrange all the books on the bookshelf. The fun element would be create a library by organizing books by size and color. Oh my gosh, kids love this. You probably think, there's no way that my kids are like, doing this by size and color, but they actually do, because it gives them. Kids love this type of organization. Going, oh, I got all the red books together, I got all the blue books together, and the yellow books together, and they do. So make it a fun one thing and putting that on the shelf. Friday would be clear the desk or the study area, which would be like a desk makeover. Rearrange and decorate the desk. Maybe my son just got one of these. I don't even know what you call them, but it's a light, and it's plastic, and it's that rubbery plastic thing. And when you hit the belly of the rabbit, the light comes on. It's so funny. But he decided, this is so cute. I'm going to get this and put this on my desk, and it's going to give me light, which he needed extra light, but this is so cute. So he decorated his desk with this fun this light, and it really makes him happy when he goes to the desk now and he looks at it and he laughs. So anything that you can do like that is great for kids. Saturday is the weekly thorough cleanup. Okay, so it's take out the Swiffer and take out the vacuum and the duster. Oh my gosh, I don't have time to get into this, but in a cluttered environment, people are always not feeling well because of all of the dust and all of the buildup that the dust brings about to the body. So it's incredibly important that one of these days during the week that you get out a Swiffer, you get out the vacuum, and you start basically cleaning the area. Organization is not cleaning. Understand that. Cleaning takes place after the organization, because it's at that time that you can easily get to the cleaning part. You can't clean when there's stuff all over the place. So organize first. You've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Saturday, get out the vacuum cleaner and clear the whole area. Okay, and then for the reward, because this is probably a family thing that you're going to be doing, have a movie night. or go do something that the kids like doing, like putt putt or something. Go out together as a reward for having not only their space clean, but the whole house clean on that Saturday. And Sunday is a rest day, right? And just do a quick tidy up before bedtime. And I would, get the kids into the habit of praising them, have them praise themselves and God for allowing them to do what they were able to do during the week. Maybe they could journal it. Maybe they could say, look, mom or dad, I was able to get to all of these things that I have not gotten to in so long. And look what we've been able to accomplish. And maybe at that time, make a decision as to what is that fun activity that you're going to do next Saturday. That would be a great plan to do. So, praise them for the work that they've done, and allow them to praise themselves for the accomplishments that they've been able to do during the week. So implementing these steps with consistency and patience can help your kids develop good organizational habits that will last way, way beyond the summer. So I talked a little bit earlier about artwork and how incredibly important it is that you deal with the mounds of paper that everyone has of artwork within their home. Okay. So I would go into a home and, they want to do their kids' room or they want to do, the basement. And there would be literally, stacks and stacks of bins with artwork from kindergarten through elementary school through, whatever. And so okay, so why do you have them? Well, because it's a sentimental thing. Remember, sentimentality and treasures are two different things. Because if you don't want to get rid of something because it's a sentimental thing, but you are storing it in a way that is just under the bed or in the basement or whatever, you're not treasuring your items. Okay. God looks at it this way, that either you treasure the items in your home, that he has been able to give you. Your kids produce this artwork through him. And what are you doing with it? So the concept here is honoring and respecting everything that has come into your home, and especially we're going to take the artwork here. So when my kids would, come home weekly, and we would put all of the things that they were able to make weekly in the bin. At the end of the week, we would go through the bin and we would say, okay, pull out one thing that you like the best, and everything else would go. So then, and we do this every week. At the end of the month, this is June. At the end of June, I would say, okay, so we have all of these, 4 or 5 items here of, artwork. Which one of these do you like the best? Okay. So they would pull out 1, maybe 2, if there was something really extraordinary, and we would keep those. And we would do this every month. We would say, okay, so instead of having, 52 things of artwork, we would break that down to maybe 6 or 7 things at the end of the year. Okay. So then I would have them, again, this is teaching prioritization, which is something that kids do not know. But when you begin looking at it in this aspect, they're going to understand, okay, what truly is a priority? What truly makes me the happiest? Which one, brings that joy in my life more than all the other stuff that I did? And so I would say, okay, so at the end of, let's say, the school year, we would have maybe 8 to 10 things. And I would go, okay, so out of these 8 to 10 things that you absolutely could not live without, right? You have to have that. Which one is your favorite? And they would sit there and they would go, okay, this one is my favorite. What are we going to do with it? Okay, so if it's an art piece, like it's something, a drawing, we're going to frame it. Okay, so I would take it down and I would get it framed. What if it's a project? and it's a three-dimensional thing. Then I would either put it into a case, if it's that big, or I would build I would get a shadow box and put it into a shadow box. The point that I'm trying to make here is that they don't stay. You can go into my son's bathroom that I created for him, and there are literally 3 pictures that he did in grade school that are still up there, that every time he comes and he goes into the bathroom and he looks at that, he is hysterical because he remembers doing them. And it's honoring and respecting what he, as a kid, when he goes, my mom is a really good artist. I says, yeah, you work, or what are you doing with it now? But that's another subject. But the concept is that it becomes a lifelong gift. Excuse me. It's something that they can look back and enjoy their entire life by you honoring and respecting, especially their artwork. So I told you that I was going to read to you at the end of this about what my son Evan said to me as I was teaching my children the art of organization growing up. And how would that impact them as they were adults and went off to college? And I want to read to you what he said. It says, my middle son, Evan, recently voiced an observation to me. In high school, he was chronically late getting ready for school, missing deadlines and papers. Okay, he's human. Nobody is perfect here, not even in my home. Okay, a mother who is a student organizer did bode well at her own home. Okay, I showed them, whether they could pick all of it up or not, during that time. At least they were given the skill sets. Now, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, and understand we're human. That is, no one's going to be perfect here. So give them a little bit of grace when they are messing up, because we all will mess up. But anyway, but then he got to college and he said, Mom, it's really amazing. No one here knows anything about time management. He says, and no one here knows how to tackle a long-term assignment, much less a filing system. I think he was probably hired to do this. Anyway, he says, oh, and by the way, send me one of those Swiffers. My roommate is a slob. Evan had at long last recognized the value of what I had taught him, even if it didn't come right out and thank me. Okay. So while he was home, a lot of things were probably taken care of. That was my fault. But he knew, he understood. And once he got to college, he was able to take those skill sets that he had learned either consciously or subconsciously and just say, you know what? No one understands, these aspects. And so I don't know if he was able to teach them these things or not, but I just thought it was really incredible that they're different people when they're at home and when they go away. And the skills that you teach them now as children, they will carry that with them for the rest of their lives. And it will come into play when they are on their own, when they have their own home, or when they, have their own kids, and how this will be passed down generationally through generation. So if this topic was of any interest to you at all, please email me at eileenkoff@gmail.com. That's EILEENKOFF@gmail.com. And let me know, if you got any insights or understanding of how to train your children here and now, or if you have other insights that you wanted to share with me, I would love to hear them. So before we just have about, I don't know, 6, 7 minutes left. And I wanted to go over one of the questions that I was asked recently. And it goes back to what I was talking about earlier on getting rid of sentimental things, like the artwork. So she asked me, do your clients often struggle getting rid of items, especially those with sentimental value? Oh my gosh, absolutely. I've written a blog on, I think 2 or 3 blogs on sentimental value and how to really understand what's important to keep and not important to keep. Just like as we went through with the artwork for the kids, kind of paring down, prioritizing, again, that word, prioritizing what is important and what isn't. So clients often struggle getting rid of items, especially if they hold a lot of emotional ties. So how do you help clients realize that they can preserve the memory of an item without keeping the item itself? As an organizer, you have to deal with the power of the object rather than the object itself. So when objects hold a tremendous amount of power over someone, then I have discovered that people lose the ability to choose which items are important. Everything becomes important. And in this case, when everything is important, then nothing is important. They have forgotten, they have lost the concept of, how do I know what's really, really important in my life? For example, if all of the craft supplies are important, none of them are. If all the old past baby clothes are important, then none of them are important. And what happens is that people usually um, have a feeling of a lack of honor and respect for any of it. They just keep it by shoving it somewhere, and they don't honor or respect whatever it is that they have. It's packed away, like I said, in old boxes to deteriorate. For the mold and the animals to come in, and it's just, you're not giving it any meaning at all. So I begin by asking my clients to tell me a story of the object. For example, if among your prized possessions there's an old hat that was worn by your father, his watch, letters, pictures, I suggest to my client that we get remember I talked about the shadow box, and we arrange that to put it up in the room. Because why is it in a drawer? Because you're not going to go and see it in a drawer. It's meaningless. Okay, but if you honor and respect those things that are of value, or you think that are of value, then you will display them and honor them in such a way that speaks to you as you walk into the space. Not only is it going to speak to you, but it's going to speak to people who see it as well. They're going to ask you, wow, that's interesting. Tell me about it. That's happened so many times. And so the memory of that object, that emotional pull of that object will no longer be so powerful. Um, Early on in these series, I talked about a 9/11 widow that I helped organize in her home after her husband, who was a fireman, had passed away. And I will close with the story because it really speaks volumes as to how to respect items in this nature. Anyway, the short story is that the whole kitchen, he loved cooking, and she couldn't go into the kitchen without crying every day. It was weighing on her spirit. It was weighing on her life, basically. So the short story is that when I went in there, I says, okay, what I want you to do, and she had 2 other children, two other girls. I says, I want you to pull out, these items that are especially meaningful to you. So the whole house was filled with his stuff. So as she went through his drawers, she went through his closets and the kitchen stuff and all the stuff. This was about 6 or 8 months after 9/11. And we had a big pile. And so all the other stuff that she didn't keep, she was able to put in a blessing bin, or uh, how to get rid of it responsibly. And so she said, these are really important to me. And I went, okay, I want you to keep that, and I want you to look at it over the week, because I would go there weekly. And I want you to pull out the things that are the most important. If you have 20 things, let's pare it down to 10. And so during the week, she would look at it. She would, understand what it was that she needed to do. At the end of the week, she says, okay, I have 6 items. And her daughters did the same thing. The short story is that we created these shadow boxes with the 6 items, and we put them in the room. And her whole house was now, reflective of who he was, but no longer taking the space of her life. And about a year later, she calls me. She goes, Eileen, I have to tell you, I've found the love of my life again. I think we're going to get engaged soon, blah, blah, blah. She says, what was happening was all that stuff was keeping me stuck in the past. But when I honored and respected his life, I was able to move forward and no longer stuck in my life. So in that, I'm going to just say in closing, seeking God's order in our lives today has every impact on our eternal rewards and how we are to spend eternity. And it's just, I want you to understand that this isn't just something that we're doing for the here and now, but this is something that's going to impact on our eternal life. And so the rewards are countless, but more importantly, the eternal awards that are going to await you because you were able to hear his still small voice over the clutter that screams, that's going to propel you on a journey too incredible to know right now. We'll know it when we see him face to face, but right now, just understand that there is purpose and honor in whatever it is that you're doing. So may the peace of God that surpasses all understanding be yours. Shalom, mishpacha, and blessings to you all. If you missed today's show or want to watch it again, or want to tell someone where they can watch this episode, go to lambnetwork.tv, where you will find this show and all the other live Lamb show archives in the on-demand section of the website. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tell someone about the Messianic Lamb Network. We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussions, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the lambnetwork.tv website. I'm Eileen Koff, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.